But one of the things that we've heard a lot of is we need more officers on the street, and why don't instead we put our money there? What would you say to folks that are asking that question?
Well, what I would say is this. Again, I want to go back to the global look. And the global look is people, equipment, facilities. Equipment is probably the easiest to take care of. And we've, thanks to you and other commissioners before you, done a great job getting there. We have dedicated sources of income, revenue, to try to get at that, and we're getting there. And over the next 2 or 3 years, we'll be able to get those things done. And this is relatively inexpensive. They're expensive things, but compared to facility, they're inexpensive. So we're able to do that. Personnel, you have to do that over time. So even if somebody said, hey, Chief, we'd rather hire 30 people instead of build a facility, and my response is going to be, well, it's going to take 5 years to do that. The climate's changed. You have to have a plan, and if you're going to do that, you're going to need to hire 5 or 6 in addition to what you're hiring each year. And law enforcement agencies across the United States, because of some of the issues, perhaps because of the media, because of the changing landscape sometimes as far as pensions and unions and those kind of things, less people, and the next generation is not as interested. Less people are interested in law enforcement, so the number of quality applicants is reducing. So we're competitive. We're in a competition to get those people. So it's going to be very individual, city to city, community to community, who can attract the best people. So that has to be a 5-year plan or a 6-year plan to add.
So we can't just go out and say, let's hire $25 million, hire more police officers. You wouldn't be able to do that in a year.
No. And assuming I could, I have no place to put them. And when you look at, and even if you did have a hiring plan over 5 or 6 years, again, that's a manageable, increasing revenue each year. The facility, I think the reason why it's so difficult is because it's a big number. And it's one of those things that if you do right, hopefully you won't have to do again. And you can't, it's very difficult to piecemeal it. It's about $25 to $30 million, and you have to find a way to do it. And if you do it right, then the community won't have to really spend that amount of money on police facilities ever again. You could expand, you could do phases later on, 20, 30, 40 years from now, when you needed that additional people.